Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risk, but to win big, you've got to reduce it. And I bet you're exposed to investment risk right now. To reduce it, go to myworstinvestmentever.com and download the risk reduction checklist I've made specifically for you, my podcast listeners, based on the lessons I've learned from all of my guests. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotts from A Stotts Academy, and I'm here with featured guest, Yaswanth Sai Palaghat. Yaswanth, are you ready to rock?
Yes, Andrew.
So I want to introduce you to the audience, and
Sure.
you are one of those high-flying YouTube guys, and I'm interested to learn more about your background. So let's go into it. Yaswanth Sai Palaghat is a YouTuber who focuses on tech and career development, as well as in many other areas. And he also interviews leaders and influencers. And even though he is only 23 years old, he has the big goal of creating the largest digital tech community in the world. Yaswanth, take a minute and fill in for the tidbits about your life.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew, for the wonderful intro. I really loved it. So you almost covered majority of the things. And apart from that, so as you said, like I'm Yashwant, I stay in Hyderabad, India. So I consider myself as a multitasker where I roll my hands in almost everything. Like as you mentioned, I'm a YouTuber. And apart from that, like I'm a software engineer, content creator, digital marketer, instructor, freelancer, blah, blah, blah. And also a podcast host like you. And I'm an individual who don't like being static all the time, so I like to be dynamic in nature. So that's the short
Always
about me.
moving.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Think about a young person who's listening in. They think, how can you do all this different stuff that you're doing? I mean, when I went through your bio on the
Yeah.
first, we cut it down because we keep it short here. But the
Yeah.
fact is there's a lot of stuff that you're involved in. And there's a lot of stuff that you're doing to make a successful YouTube channel and to get your
Yeah.
message out and all of that. How do you manage your time?
It's all about priorities. So if you're clear about like what you want to be in the future or what you want to be in the next day, then ultimately it becomes so much easy for you to manage multiple things. So whatever the things might be, so I work as a full-time role, so I work for a full-time job. So apart from that, I do all this stuff like YouTube, and like I literally upload a video every single day. So it's all about the passion, and if you do things consistently, then ultimately things become very easy for you. So you won't feel stressful, or you won't feel that much complexity in managing multiple things. That will become a part of your life, and you feel it as just as an hobby. So it's what I feel, and it's what made me successful in managing my time.
And one other question, when I was your age, I
Okay.
would say that I was successful because I just worked longer than anybody else. Like I worked all day and then I went home and I did all this other stuff, while other people made other choices, right?
Yeah.
And now as I look at my productivity, well, I still work pretty hard, but nowadays I can delegate more and I can outsource more and I can focus in on kind of what's my highest value. And I'm just curious about, how hard are you working? How smart are you working? How has that changed over the last couple of years?
uh, it's because we have the opportunities, I think. I mean, when you are 23, you don't have these much opportunities. You don't have this kind of a proper internet, proper digital gadgets and all those things, but we have. So I think I'm utilizing in the proper way. That's it. I think whether we don't know, right, if you have these kind of facilities in your age, you might be a similar person. So yeah, it's all about using the opportunities and utilizing in a better way. So that is what I feel.
So that's interesting. I like that, and you're
Yeah.
you're showing and you're telling, look, I have these opportunities. We have these opportunities as young
Yeah.
people these days. And I guess the part of the message to young people listening is you have no excuse.
Yes.
If you want to be a radio man, if you want to be a YouTuber, if you want to be an Instagram, whatever it is that you want to do out there,
Yeah.
you can find your voice. And there was just no way that you could do that when I was growing up, that, the idea of being on the radio or having, even and sometimes it can be depressing when people start off doing YouTube, doing podcasts, trying to be an influencer and that, and then you only get, a couple of hundred people and maybe 1,000 people watch. And it's just so, it can be very frustrating. But sometimes I say to people, wait a minute. Okay, so you're telling me you have, let's say, 300 people watch a video each day, try to get 300 people in a room. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard. So
Yes.
don't focus so much on your volume and your number. That will come with time, but focus on the quality that you deliver and appreciate the fact that you got 300 people in a room and not saying, I wish I had those other 1,000. Well, no, you got to take care of those 300 that you got in the room. So any thoughts about that?
True, Andrew, like you just nailed that. So if you're consistent on our things, and if you're clear on what we are doing, I think focusing on volumes will come automatically. So it doesn't matter how many people are watching our content. So if at least one or two will benefit out of it, then ultimately it will pass on to the large volume. So I think focusing on content and focusing on what we deliver is important than focusing on volumes.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know I've had my ups and downs in the podcast space, that sometimes I felt like, oh, this is a lot of work. And other times I was like, oh, I'm tired and I don't feel like I'm getting the credit I want and all that. But what I just do is I just keep doing the next right thing.
Yeah.
And it starts to build. And it's just a little bit like, in the world of investment, we talk about compound interest. And now, Warren Buffett's sitting on a huge amount of money because he left his money in the market to compound over 60 years, right?
Yes.
The impact, the compound effect, great book, by the way, by Darren Hardy. The compound effect doesn't actually happen until the later period. The impact is, yes, you may go from 2 viewers to 4, to 8, to 16. It seems very small in the beginning, but then when it starts to compound. So I think the lesson that I take away from you is just stay at it, do the best you can with the audience you have and what you've got, and it will come over time. All right. Well, it's great to get to know you. And now it's time to share your worst investment ever. And since no one ever goes into their worst investment thinking it will be, tell us a bit about the circumstances leading up to it, and then tell us your story.
Sure. Well, my worst investment will be a little bit surprising. So it's not completely about money here. And as I said, like I'm from India, it's a second largest in population after China. And when coming to the population of engineers, so India tops the list. Majority of the people who choose engineering in India or other career options are not just because it is their passion, it is their only option. So for many, and it is the reason why many of the engineers here are jobless. So not only here, I think all over the world, you can consider like most of the people, the area in which there are more number of unemployment people exist is engineering. So similarly, like I chose engineering in computer science stream, like how majority of Indians choose, and I didn't find anything relevant to the current industry needs in my curriculum. So everything seems outdated, and I felt there is no point in spending 4 years just to obtain a degree, which we can't even show with pride no more. So people are still searching for a way to find their passion, and many were just tracked with the education barrier. So it is what I feel my worst investment ever of time. And but a good thing is I realized this very, very quickly, and that is what helped me. So yeah, what I felt my worst investment was spending my time in engineering.
So
And yeah.
can I ask you about, like, when did you start? I mean, obviously, when you go into university, as an example, it's all exciting, it's fresh, it's new. You think that you're going to learn all of these amazing things. And then there came a time. Now, was that time that you came to this realization? Was it during the school time, or it's like when you went out to get a job and you think, oh my God, I don't really have the skills?
No, like I realized it very quickly. So, during my 4 years of course, so I mean, after 1 year itself, like I realized very quickly, because at the beginning of my journey in engineering university, so like I felt like, so I'm going to learn various things and I'm going to rock. So once after I'm having the degree, but like I realized that what are the things that I'm learning. So I'm just learning scrap here. So I'm not learning that things that are really useful to survive in the industry, or to get into entrepreneurship, or to get a meaningful job. These are not useful. These are just static things. And the syllabus that I'm learning here is completely outdated. Like even a school kid using internet can learn all this stuff. Then what is the main thing? I mean, what is the main motto of going to college for 4 years, spending time for exams, spending your time for reading all the stuff? So what is the use of it? Instead, like if we can learn it online at this moment, everyone can get a job in the first year of course itself. So that is what I realized immediately after 1 year. And then after, like, I prepared my own strategies to come out of it.
And did you learn that like over time, or was there like a day or a night where you just realized, oh my God?
It took time. So it after a series of incidents or series of events, like I mean, the first thing is syllabus. That is what I mean, pulled me out of that, pulled me out
Mhm.
of the idea of going to engineering and studying and spending hours. So the syllabus is one thing, and the exposure is one of the things. Like just because you are an engineer, you will not be exposed. So you need multiple things to expose, and those were networking, public speaking, self-learning ability, and a time management. These are all the things that you need in order to get exposed, but not your engineering degree. So
Mm.
yeah, gradually I learned all these things. Yeah,
So let me ask you,
sure.
if you could list out what
Hmm.
it is that you learned from this experience.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing I can say is passion. So if you have a passion, just don't ignore that. Just whatever the complexities or whatever the struggles that you get in the journey, don't leave that passion out there. So even though you're stuck in something, so like if you're stuck in a college, or if you're stuck in engineering, which is nowhere relevant to your passion, make some time. So if that is your priority, like you will get some time and work on that. That is one thing I have learned. So the second thing is start whatever you want to. So during my engineering course, like I started with 3 different startup ideas. So but all those were failed in my engineering. But yeah, the good thing is, like, I have learned various things from that failed experiences. And the other thing is networking. So in this digital world, so we are completely reliant on internet. So without internet there is nothing nowadays. So even for a kid, or 2 year kid to 80-year-old man, internet is a must nowadays. So if you are not using internet properly, then ultimately you will be out of the competition. And in order to stay relevant, you need networking skill. So you need to talk with multiple people, you need to interact with multiple people, and you need to make some good connections out there. Not just talking with people, you need to make some good connections. And networking is one lesson that I have learned. So I make good friends out there, I make good internet friends, I make good some connections and good relationships out there. And that is what uh, people need.
Mm.
And the other lesson that I can proudly say is self-learning. So nowadays everyone can learn freely in the internet, but that thing, I mean, that guts of taking risk is what the need of the generation. So you need to learn by yourself. If you know the path of like where you want to be after 2 to 3 years, then ultimately you need to work on that. No one will guide you, because everyone is busy in building up their own life. So no one will
Mm.
show much interest on you to teach you something, to guide you something. If yes, if we get some guides, then it is a blessing. But we are not supposed to depend on them. So we need to learn by ourselves, and it is what it makes sense.
Mm.
And the last thing that I can say is public speaking. So public speaking is something, maybe there are some introverts who don't like speaking in front of public, but ultimately they will also be successful. But if you are a good public speaker, then you will gain some confidence. And especially like if you want to build your own enterprise, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, public speaking is a must. And
Mm.
yeah, these are all the lessons that I have learned from the experience.
Great lessons, great lessons. And maybe I'll share some of the things that I just wrote down as I was
Sure.
listening to you. The
Sure.
first thing, as I said, I was thinking about something that we say when I was young. It was my mom or my dad said it to me, or someone said it to me, which was, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And I think that's a great reminder, of what you've said. And the fact is, many of the things, and in fact, we'll probably have to get more used to failure than success, because we'll probably have failure more often than we'll have success.
Yes. True.
And the next thing, having been a university lecturer all my life, basically, which
Okay.
I do in my free time and do, pretty consistently for 30 years, I often tell students, university is the worst place to go to learn. And then I was thinking about over the COVID period, about a year ago, I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to be hiring anybody right now. I've got to watch my budgets and all of that. And I know a lot of young people won't be getting jobs right now.
Yeah.
And therefore, maybe we could do a barter. I could get some young interns to work with me, and then I teach them everything I can and help them, and they help me. And so in the last 12 months, I've had probably more than 100 interns work with me, literally personally at my office.
Okay.
And they asked if we could do it by Zoom, but I said, no, it's got to be either live or not. And the result of that is that I've, made a lot of great relationships and friendships with them. And, we've shared, and they've helped me a lot, and I've tried to help them too. But the first question I always ask them when they come, and I say, what skill do you have that you can bring to me?
Yeah.
It could be writing, it could be speaking, it could be Excel, it could be financial modeling, it could be social media or Facebook ads or whatever it could be. And unfortunately, at least 90% say none. I don't have any skill. And they literally don't have a skill that they come out of university with. So it's a rare person that comes out of university with a very specific skill. And instead, what they have is a general education. Now, general education isn't bad, but I would also argue that I would say that the quality of education compared to, years ago has probably gone down, where you're not learning that. I'm not that impressed with the ability to think and analyze and stuff. Like I see what's going on in the universities, and I'm just not that knocked out. So my number one thing that I always tell them, and you've demonstrated it through what you've talked about, is you have got to create some skill that separates you or differentiates you relative to your peers, but also is the thing that you're going to go out and work on, like to improve. And so that's the other thing that I take away. Anything you would add to that?
I think you covered in a very decent way.
Yeah.
You covered, yeah.
That, I have one of my newest interns just started a couple of days ago, and he said, I want to learn data science and marketing. And I said, oh, that's good. Well, then why don't we just become an expert on Facebook ads?
Yeah.
And Google ads and another program we use, which is Kartra. And then how do we bring all that together and take the data we get from that and use it in marketing to make sure that we're bringing the right products to the right people? And so he's digging deep into that. And I told him, look, if you work with me for 2 months, I've bought him some courses that he's taking, and he's far through them. And then basically I said, in 2 months, you'll have a skill. You can walk into any place and say, I can do Facebook ads, Google AdWords, Kartra, and then I can bring it all together and generate revenue for your company. Okay, boom, you're hired.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So it's really about skills. So that's the thing. All right. So based upon what you learned from this story and what you continue to learn, what one action would you recommend our listeners take to avoid suffering the same fate?
Sure. So I believe there are three kinds of people in general. I told this statement multiple times during my YouTube videos too. The first one is someone who waits for opportunities. The second one is someone who searches for opportunities, and the third one is someone who creates opportunities. Be the third one. So I always advise people to be the third one, because you will not get opportunities because no one will search for you in this fast-paced world. You need to create your own opportunities in order to get rid out of the risk zone that you are in. So it's okay. So if you are stuck somewhere due to whatever might be the reason, it might be the financial issue, like it is stopping you from going on with your desired course, or it is somewhat like you're following the head just because that's the doing you're doing. So it's okay, you realized it later. Once you realized, just try to create your opportunities. So whatever it is, if you are clear about what is your passion is, try to create an opportunity. If you're not finding any job, create some jobs for other people by building your own enterprise, because there are various ways and you can find guides and mentors all over the internet. So there is no scarcity for them. The only thing that you need is the clarity on what your passion is. And if you have a clarity, you can create your own opportunities. There are multiple ways in this fast-paced digital world. It is one thing that I can say.
So clarity is really the starting point
Yes.
And, at the beginning, you also talked before about passion. So bringing
Yeah.
clarity together with passion to
Passion.
create the opportunity. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So last question. What's your number one goal for the next 12 months?
Yeah. So I'm in the process of building largest tech community. So, and that should not only focus on just gathering people, gathering similar minds of people, but also to create some awareness to all over the people on setting up their goals, choosing the right career. So it is what I meant to be, and it is what I'm doing in my YouTube since 4 years, and I continue doing that, and I want to reach to more audience out there, to give some clarity on their thought process and to give some clarity on their career. So it is my number one goal for the next 12 months.
Exciting.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, there you have it. Another story of loss to keep you winning. My number one goal for the next 12 months is to help you, my listener, to reduce risk in your life. So go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now and download the risk reduction checklist and see how you measure up. As we conclude, Yaswanth, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. And on behalf of A Stotts Academy, I hereby award you alumni status
Okay.
for turning your worst investment ever into your best teaching moment. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I told you multiple times in this podcast. So just follow your passion with clarity. And like if you want to know some great stuff on career development, you can get into my YouTube channel and watch those stuff. So
Fantastic.
yeah, wish you all the best for everyone who's watching this.
Fantastic. And we'll have the links in the show notes. So just click on those links and you go straight to his YouTube channel. Well, that's a wrap on another great story to help us create, grow, and protect our wealth. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stott, saying, I'll see you on the upside.